Are you starting to ask yourself, is it too early for me to start planning for my law school applications? Or are you like me, more often than not? And are you starting to ask yourself, is it too late? Have I missed the window for planning my law school application process? If you're in either of those groups, I hope this video is going to help. So if you're new, my name is Alice Foley and I'm an associate law school consultant with Montgomery Admissions Consulting, where we specialize in first-generation and minority law school application support. I come to this work with almost a decade of law school admissions experience, and most relevant today is the fact that I spent a great amount of time as an admissions officer working with students to help them plan their application process. I worked with high schoolers, I worked with students in every year of college, and I worked with folks that had graduated many, many years ago. For today's video, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to be going with typical college scheduling. You're going to go to college for 4 years. You'll have your freshman, your sophomore, your junior, your senior year, and then for the purpose of this, you're going to be starting law school that next year. So KJD, if that's what you want to call it, but we're going straight through college into law school. If that's not you, you can still use this video helpfully. Just make sure you make those conversions to years. Before we jump in, if you are in high school, please stop watching. I asked earlier, is it too early? If you are in high school, that answer is yes. You have more important things to do before you start planning your law school application process. Like, for example, picking your college, enjoying high school. Do those things. Once you get to college and you're settled in there, then come talk to me. I have so much advice that I am more than happy to share. But not while you're in high school. Go be a high schooler. For everyone else, if you're just starting college, you're starting your freshman year, you're excited, congratulations. School is starting probably right around now. And I want you to take one thing very, very seriously. If you don't take anything else away from this video, I really hope that this is the one that you keep. It is okay if you don't know what you want to study yet. Truly. Undecided, undeclared, those are not bad words here. Law school is not med school. We don't care what you study in college. Ideally, it's something that is interesting to you. There is no major for law school. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I have seen students throughout my career come from performing arts, from math, from biology, from political science, from philosophy, from history, from languages. I have seen all of those students come to law school and all of them do well. Sometimes our visual performance students do better than our political science students. Truly, there really is not a major for law school. So take some time, figure out what speaks to you, what you're going to be interested in studying for the next 4 years. It's okay, I promise. Next, I want you to check out your campus. See this place that you're going to be spending the next 4 years at. Get involved. Check out the student organizations. See what is there for you. See the ways that you can give back to your community if that's important to you. This does not mean that you go join every single solitary student organization. Do not do that. You will have no time and sleep is important and I need you to sleep. I also need you to go to class. Those are important things. Pick like 3, maybe 4. See if you like them. If there's one that really speaks to you, if there's one you really enjoy, that really means something to you, start investigating ways to start into leadership when you get older. Most of the time they don't let freshmen be officers, but not always. You can check it out if you want to. Finally, this is advice that I find myself giving all the time. It does not matter what year in school you are. It doesn't matter how long ago you graduated. Don't be stupid. Make good choices. What this means for college students, don't be stupid means I want you to take some time and challenge yourself with your schedule. Don't just pick the class that's going to give you the easy A. Law school is tough, and if you've coasted all the way through college, law school is going to be a really rude awakening. I'm not saying pick the classes that are going to be the most difficult so your grades suffer, but I do want you to challenge yourself. Pick the big English class, the literature class that's going to have you reading books that are 1,200 pages long. Pick the math class that you maybe have no interest in. See how it goes. If you really hate it, you can withdraw. That's okay. But challenge yourself in your schedule. Make good choices. It's a little more involved. What it boils down to is asking yourself 2 questions before you do things. The first question, will this make my life more difficult later on? If the answer is yes, I need you to reevaluate. The second question, is this going to involve the police at some point? If the answer is yes, I need you to reevaluate. Phone a friend. Phone a parent. Phone somebody. If the answer is no to both of those questions, go have fun. Again, don't be stupid, make good choices. Pretty simple. Then you take the time, enjoy being a freshman, enjoy your sophomore year. Remember that how excited you are to go to law school, especially if you figured it out this early. That's awesome. Most people don't. I certainly didn't. I group myself in the seniors that decide way too late, but it is possible. I am proof of that. So as you go through your freshman and sophomore year, really the only thing that I want you to be focused on for that is to stay involved with your college, get good grades, find something that you enjoy studying. Enjoy being a college student as much as you can. Then, at the start of your junior year, or at the very latest in this particular timeline, the beginning of the spring semester of your junior year, I want you to really start planning in earnest for how your law school application process is going to go. I know, it seems far off, but trust me, it's going to make your life so much easier and so much less stressful if you start now. As a junior, again, fall semester, spring semester, doesn't really matter, but sometime during that time, I want you to start thinking about what your plan for the law school admissions test is. The test is not offered all the time like the GRE and like many other standardized tests. It's also very different from many other standardized tests. So I want you to give yourself time to take the test more than once if you need to. I also want you to build in time to prepare for it. It's not a test you can just walk into, even if you are historically good at standardized tests. This one's a little different. I say speaking from experience. It was not what I expected. I did not do as well as I typically did. I did okay, but not normal performance. Taking more time to prepare would have definitely helped me. So think about what else is going on in your life and adjust your schedule to give yourself the time you need to prepare. Next, by now you should probably be settled into some kind of major that you enjoy, and hopefully this also means that you're starting to engage with your professors in class and out of class. Keep that up if you're already doing it. If you have not started, please start. Your professors are going to be very, very helpful in the application process. One of the major pieces of a law school application are letters of recommendation, and I cannot stress this enough. Nothing is more helpful than a strong academic letter of recommendation. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is an academic thing. Law school is still, at the end of the day, school. So if your professors are telling your admissions committee, Alice is a great student. She engages in class. Her work is phenomenal. She thinks very critically. Her research is stellar. Ideally with more details, but you get where I'm going. If they're saying that in their letter of recommendation, you are golden. That's going to be so helpful in your law school application. But if you are not engaging with your professors at all, they can't write those things because they may not know. So really take the time to start getting to know your professors if you haven't yet, and make sure that when the time comes for you to ask them for letters of recommendation as you put your application together, they're going to have really good things to say. The last one's a fun one, and it was one of my favorite parts of being a law school admissions officer. So, if you are not aware, law schools spend most of the fall semester sending their admissions office on the road. I realize that with the last couple of years that has been less common, but in my first years as an admissions officer, I was gone basically Labor Day to Thanksgiving, and I loved every second of it. I got to travel all over the country to a variety of college campuses and talk to really wonderful students that were interested in law school. Please take advantage of those opportunities. Many schools have law school fairs or graduate school fairs or professional school fairs, something like that on campus. Go. Just do it. Chances are there's free stuff if I really have to let you in on the secrets. But you're also going to have the chance to talk to people from law schools that may not be anywhere close to you. And it's a lot easier and a lot cheaper for you to start getting your questions answered when they come to you and you don't have to go to them. The other thing that exists during the fall are LSAC law school forums. Those are held in major cities all over the United States. Typically they're a day long, it's usually a Friday or a Saturday, and nearly every law school in the country goes to those. There are also plenty of workshops about how the application process works, how law school works, so much information, and it's totally free. All you have to do is register and show up, and you'll have the chance to talk to, again, almost every law school in the country. The other super nice thing is that because these happen in the fall, if you wait until your senior year, sometimes it may be too late, or sometimes you may not be setting yourself up the best. So if you go when you're a junior, you're going to have time to work on it. You're going to have time to think about whether or not you do really want to attend that particular law school, whether it's worth it to you to spend the time and the effort and the money on that particular law school application. And you may have the chance to talk to alumni, you may have the chance to talk to current students, you may even have the chance to talk to faculty at some of these things. It just depends on who's traveling for the law school. But I cannot overstate how helpful and how valuable those things can be. For my last crew, my seniors, the group that I fall into when it comes to planning for my law school applications. All hope is not lost. You can still apply to law school, assuming that you're not watching this in March of your senior year. That's cutting it pretty close, and several deadlines have probably passed. But just because you're starting to make this decision at the very beginning of your senior year does not mean that you cannot apply to law school. It does mean that you are going to have a really packed schedule. Obviously, you're still in school. so you've got to take care of your classes. But the very, very first thing that I want you to be thinking about is when you're going to take the LSAT. For me, I did this all wrong, honestly. I picked just about the worst of everything when it came to my LSAT, and I am thankful every single day that I did well enough to get into law school on the one chance that I gave myself to take the thing. I didn't give myself enough time to prep. I didn't leave myself time to take it again if I didn't like my score, and I wasn't crazy about it. It was okay, but I certainly didn't get any scholarship offers. I also, being a last minute person, put it right in the middle of my final exams. I don't recommend doing that. It's stress you just don't need. So if it's September or it's October and you're looking at the LSAT registration deadlines, you're probably looking at November, December, January. That's okay, but I need you to think very hard about how much time you're going to want to prep. We've got suggestions. There are plenty of them elsewhere, but I want you to be thinking, how early can I send my application in while also giving myself time to prep and take the LSAT? I also want to remind you is those registration deadlines are significantly far ahead of the actual test date. If you're planning to take it at the end of October, that registration deadline is at the very latest the end of September. So there is some planning that is required. That's step one. I also really, really hope that you've been talking to your professors before now, that you've been engaging in class, that you've been doing good work up to now, because you are also going to need those professors for those letters of recommendation. And while it is not impossible to build those relationships starting in your senior year, it's a lot easier if you started last year or as a sophomore. And I will tell you, professors are humans. They understand how humans work. So if you have phoned it in, you've come to class, you're doing fine. You have done the bare minimum to get the B or the A or whatever grade it is that you got. And you all of a sudden are in their office door in like October saying, hey, I'd love you to write me a letter of recommendation. They may not have the best things to say about you. It might be fine. Alice shows up to class. She turns her work in on time. Cool. Not as helpful as the one that I was describing from your junior year. If you've taken the time to really engage in the classes, ideally because they're things that you're interested in, having those letters written is going to be so much easier. The thing that you absolutely don't want to happen is asking a professor that is not going to write you a great letter of recommendation. I have seen them in my career. Alice wasn't that great of a student. She came to class about half the time, didn't really participate. Her work was okay, but nothing special. I've seen those sentences in letters of recommendation. Do not let that be you. And finally, I want you to think about when the earliest you can get your application submitted is, and still have it be a strong application package. What I mean by this is if taking an extra week or 3 to really tighten up your personal statement, or make sure that you've got that last letter of recommendation from the professor that knows you best, or that you want to give yourself one last chance to take the LSAT. That's okay. I would much prefer that you feel confident in the application packet that you send to your law school than you just knock it all together really quickly just so you can get it in. There's a lot that goes into this if you're starting this journey in your senior year. It is not fun. Trust me, but it can be doable. Save yourself the stress, start in your junior year. So today we covered a lot. We covered the 3 most common times that folks start planning their application process to law school. In your freshman year, pick your major, get involved, make good choices, don't be stupid. In your junior year, which really is the sweet spot for this, make your plan to take the LSAT. Talk to your professors if you haven't started, because again, by now you should be settled into your major. And take advantage of the law school recruitment events, those law school fairs that are happening during the fall. And in your senior year, we're condensing all of that into not a lot of time, but first thing, you gotta make an LSAT plan. Next, make sure that you've started building relationships with professors. Do it genuinely though. And finally, make sure that you're sending your application when you're happy with it. It is worth it to take the extra time if it's going to make the difference between a mediocre application and a strong one. If this video has been helpful, share it with a friend, like and subscribe below. I can't wait to talk to you again.